Good morning. When I was asked to speak about what is my favorite hymn, pretty quickly I knew the answer, but then I had to think about why, more than I have in the past. And so my life flows on an endless song, which is number 108 in the hymn, my favorite hymn. It's kind of a tough call. There's a lot of others like Blue Boat Home, Come Come Wherever You Are, those came to mind. But this one, I think, speaks to me in several ways that I'll share with you now. If you want, we're gonna, at the end of this, I believe, we're gonna stand and sing the hymn, but you could go ahead and look at page 10, or number 108 in the hymnal, because I will speak to the lyrics a little bit. So, one of the things I thought, why do I like this one so much? And I thought, well, it's a hopeful song. My life flows on, an endless song, above earth's lamentations. So beyond the troubles of the world, I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. So it's talking about hope, hopeful song. I'm generally pretty optimistic. I like that. But there's a kind of an interesting thing. It's not a happy, joy kind of hopeful song. Several years ago, where this hymn really lit up for me, I happened to be at a performance with Laurie Lewis, who's sometimes called Queen of Bluegrass. She lives in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I saw her and her band perform. And in the middle, they sang this hymn, a cappella, 4 people, with this really soulful, what I think of as like an Appalachian or bluegrass feel to it. And that's when I realized, I think, that this is a song that's hopeful, but not from a happy place. When you read the lyrics, when you look at the second verse, it gives you a hint in the first verse, through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? Then the second verse really hits you, through tempest round me roars, what through the darkness round me close, right? But then it comes back, and it comes back again with that hope. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. I always thought, that image is used a lot in particularly, I think, religious or spiritual sense. Clinging to a rock in a storm is not that great of a situation, right? It's like, I guess you're thankful for the rock, but the situation's not great. And so it really speaks to, I think, tempest around me roars, times when things seem overwhelming, when there's just too much and you can't keep up with all of it, or you're just able to, and then you get hit with something else, right? And so that second verse, I think, does speak to like both a situation and an internal state or feeling that can be challenging. So this hymn, several months ago, my brother passed away, as I know some of you know. I chose this hymn to sing. I didn't think I could speak words at that. I had stayed, just after he passed, I stayed with his wife and kids for some days, and we arranged the memorial service to be held back in Texas. He was living in Florida at the time. And so and my mother is quite elderly, and she lives there, and so that was helpful, but she's limited too. So I had to, on top of all the other things going on in my life, of course, step in and really make sure this happened. And it was a nice memorial service, and I sang this one, and I think I picked it in part because of that hopeful, the tempest and the storm that I know that a lot of my family members were feeling. The sound of hope. Also, it was it was a small town in Texas, so I didn't sing the last verse, which I haven't spoke about yet, just because I didn't feel like bringing something that sounds political into the memorial service in our small town in Texas. But after the memorial service, the Southern Baptist minister who was holding the service, and it was his son, who's actually like a ministry student of some kind, who also played some music. They helped me out there. He really liked this. He hadn't heard it, and asked me. I gave him my copy that I photocopied, so he'd be able to see what it was. So there's a little thread there. It spoke to people who were in a very different world than what I think we feel like we're in. Then finally, so the third verse, and this is great. This is if you look at the history of Pete Seeger, this was one song that Pete Seeger would sing. If you're familiar with his kind of stuff, political protest and social action. When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, that's obviously hopeful. To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. So, this is a recurring theme in some of these. I find kind of interesting some of these older pieces, the lyrics where, people being put in dungeons vile and prison cells unjustly is a recurring theme, right? But in the end, how can I keep from singing? And that made me think about, well, what is that? How can I keep from singing mean? Partly maybe it's a metaphor or an analogy to that feeling inside that keeps you going, the things you do every week or every day. Part of which for me is singing in the choir or in the service. It could also, in some of the places though, when you talk about, tyrants tremble as they fear and hear the bells of freedom ringing. So you can also think of how can I keep from singing as, maybe old movies where, get the bird to sing means to tell the truth, right? How can I keep from telling the truth, from singing? So that's another possible way to think of that song, those words. And so I think, altogether, why this one speaks to me, I think it covers a lot of different areas that's applicable to my life, my immediate family, but it does seem to, resonate, right? Sound and echo in your soul for a lot of people, and especially when you hear it sung really well. So I think at this point, are we going to all stand? Please rise to number 108, in body or spirit, and we will sing our hymn.
Wake Now My Senses may be a traditional Irish melody, but to me it is just an old Protestant hymn. I don't know if this hymn is my favorite. I have many, but it has been a part of many significant events in my life. When I was a girl and young woman growing up in the Congregational Church, now the United Church of Christ, Be Thou My Vision was a favorite. Many of you may also remember the melody from your youth. It was part of the Sunday service on my Rainbow Sunday. Probably most of you don't know about the Order of Rainbow for Girls. It is a Masonic organization for teenage girls, just as Eastern Star is for women, and the Order of Demolay for teenage boys. Each year, a special service is held at the Church of the Worthy Advisor, and in 1965, it was my turn. The Unitarian Universalist words to this hymn were written by Thomas Mickelson, a UU minister who is the Minister Emeritus of the First Parish, Cambridge, where our daughter Heather attended church while she was a student at Harvard Divinity School. We know it as Wake Now My Senses. This hymn, which I believe celebrates our 7 principles, is traditionally sung at ordinations and installations of our ministers, and in its original version was sung at Heather's UCC ordination. Our choir also sang it at the ordination of our former minister, John Millspaugh, and at the ordination of our former intern minister, Carol Rudisill. You may be surprised that in these ordinations, there is a laying on of hands by both the clergy present and those of the congregation. In this way, we are confirming our support and willingness to care for our newly ordained minister. In this song, we ask that our connection with the web of creation be awakened, that our reason and quest for truth and wisdom, compassion and justice be realized. I love the final verse, which asks for our awakening of our vision of ministry. This is what our shared ministry is all about, mingling our calling with all who will share and working toward a planet transformed by our care. Please rise as you are willing and able to join in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Well, I'm excited to share one of my favorite hymns with you today. It is The Fire of Commitment. You can find that in the Teal hymnal if you haven't already. I'll be referring to quite a few of the words during this time. This hymn is one of my favorites, and it is written by Jason Shelton and Mary Catherine Mourn for the 50th anniversary of the First Unitarian Universalist Church in Nashville, their 50th anniversary back in 2002. The Fire of Commitment is a song that is filled with energy and passion within the music and the lyrics. The song also connects us, I believe, to our past and pushes us forward to our future as it calls us forward with a commitment to action. In notes on a website from the Far Fringe, the author writes, "The rhythm pulses in your blood, the melody lines hum in your muscles, the lyrics rest deep in your bones. The song feels as natural to you and as naturally yours as if it had emerged from your own mind and soul." I agree. I find that the music within this song itself, just the music, can get us moving. The 5/4 rhythm is just the right tempo. It isn't a march with a driving meter. Instead, it is a song with energy that starts in our core and then gets our hands and feet moving towards a better future. Notes at the beginning of the song say that this song should be with energy and joy. In that movement, the Fire of Commitment urges us forward to be our best selves, to live our life with energy and passion and joy. The lyrics are just as important as the music itself. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, we are living more fully and making a difference in our world when we are doing that. Just listen to the words of the chorus. When the fire of commitment sets your mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. We are called to the confidence of life, of energy, the joy and passion that we have deep within us. And from that confidence, we can live into our promise with hope for the future. While the song does feel very forward and future-oriented, each verse also reminds us of our past, the base with which we can build our future. Words like these, "From the light of days remembered burns a beacon, bright and clear." And again, "From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice." These help create a foundation based on our past. And it's an individual and collective past that leads us into our individual and our collective future. Music, I find, does this. It allows for our individual voice in unison or in harmony with all those around us. Our individual energy and passion is multiplied with the voices of those singing with us. One of the things that I appreciate so much within our UU religion is that we are deeper than catchy lyrics or beautiful melody. We are called to reflect often, to build understanding, and to build connections, and to take our deep thoughts and to turn them into action. Hear these words within the hymn: calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty, and that which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. These two lines finish two of the verses and call us to deeper work. And then we are connected right back to that chorus where we sing, "When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze." In a book on education that I was reading recently, Martin Luther King Jr. is quoted, and the words felt so familiar to what I was reflecting on within this hymn. His is a similar call, those many years ago, for a life of liberty and deeper justice built by our courageous choice. Here's what he said: "We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. Procrastination is still the thief of time. We must move past indecision to action. Shall we say the odds are too great? Shall we tell them the struggle is too hard? Or will there be another message of longing, of hope, of solidarity with their yearnings, of commitment to their cause, whatever the cost? The choice is ours, and though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this crucial moment of human history." This song itself doesn't allow us to sit back and procrastinate. We are moved forward with the right tempo, the right lyrics and notes. Our energy and passion, our individual and collective past, and our willingness to work deeply for social justice and a better tomorrow are all part of this hymn and part of our UU lives. We can take our choices to further the hope that we carry deep within, and then our promise will find fulfillment, and our future can begin. So please join me in singing this hymn. It is number 1028, found in your teal hymnal.